Welcome to the call, everybody. Welcome to our weekly Sunday Zoom support call for people who are on the 90-day ultimate lifestyle transformation and for those people who are checking it out. We have themed calls, so people request topics every week. And so today's topic is two things: vertigo, dizziness, Meniere's disease, and also the root cause of all illnesses. And I can't believe I haven't done a video about the root cause of illnesses. This is such an important one. And it just really, if anybody wants to watch this recording later who is just struggling with anything, if you have somebody who's struggling with anything, this is the call. So this is going to be the recording to share with them, because this is going to cover all bases. So the root cause of all diseases. Starting with, it's really important to understand this word pathogens. So we all have pathogens in the body, and we have pathogens are different kinds of bacteria. Pathogens are viruses. Pathogens are parasites. Pathogens are mold, fungi, mold. And am I missing anything? Well, an amoeba is different than a parasite, but it's kind of like a parasite. So, and then there's like worms. So a lot of times people will put worms into the category of parasites. So everyone, have you guys noticed it's all over social media? It's like everyone's talking about parasites. Like, I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, parasites is an explosion of a concept. But really, mostly, if a person truly does have a parasite, they're going to be looking at like a life-threatening illness. And parasites are always right next to viruses. So there's always, anytime like somebody has like a really hardcore virus, there's usually either worms or parasites. And somebody who has cancer, very likely they have parasites. Somebody who's like really struggling with like ALS or something like that, they often have parasites. And then here we just went through the pandemic with COVID. And what do we have? People were talking about ivermectin as being something to help people with COVID. Why was ivermectin so popular? Why were people talking about ivermectin? Yeah, I know you guys know, because it kills parasites. And COVID was a virus. And so it makes so much sense. If you help kill off a viral load, you're going to help kill off the virus. And partly the reason that is true is actually because they eat the same things. So all these pathogens are living things. And so every living thing eats and poops. So they eat toxins and then they poop toxins. And then a lot of times the toxins they poop are worse than the toxins they ate. So they make things more toxic. So in cancer, you're going to see a virus eating toxins and then pooping out toxins that are just like 10 times worse, making it more hazardous material in your body. So to understand vertigo or any other illness, you have to understand what the root cause is. It's a pathogen. Now, toxins are bad for everyone, no matter what. You don't want to have plastic in your body. You don't want to have any kind of toxin in your body. But let's talk about the different kinds of toxins. So some of the toxins we talk about all the time, which is the most popular one that we've been talking about as a team, has been glyphosate. And glyphosate is an herbicide. It's in Roundup. A lot of people use Roundup in their backyard. They'll use it in their house. They'll use it on, any kind of weeds in the backyard to try to just kill off some weeds that they don't like. It's also used in the agricultural industry to kill weeds so that they don't choke the plants that are growing, the soybeans, the corn, the wheat. And then glyphosate is also used as a desiccant in wheat. So one of the reasons I would guess that Cheerios has the highest level of glyphosate of any food on the market is because of the way that the grain is dried. It's dried. Glyphosate actually dries things out faster. So the big ag industry will spray glyphosate all over crops as to make them dry faster so they can go to store faster, be sold faster. So what is the problem with glyphosate? Why is glyphosate so toxic? This herbicide, what does it do? Well, it kills off all bacteria. It just kills off all bacteria. It kills off we have good bacteria in our guts. So it destroys all the bacteria in our guts. So it doesn't just kill plants, it kills everything. And then it can leave your body stripped so that you're now not able to digest food. You now get sick when you eat food. Maybe you have diarrhea, maybe you vomit, maybe you have pain. People with Crohn's disease, people with celiac, people with celiac are people who are allergic to wheat. Quite often you'll find that it's not wheat they're allergic to. It's actually glyphosate that's making them sick. And then when they get detoxed, which we will talk about today, we're going to talk about a 90-day detox, the ultimate lifestyle transformation. When people detox, they find out that they are actually no longer allergic to wheat. Allergies disappear.
Rachel,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt you. There's somebody trying to get in, apparently. Do you want to make me co-host?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There we go, letting her in. Yeah, I will make you co-host. How did you know that? Okay. So these toxins also include gasoline. So if you are at the gas station and you are pumping gas, you are inhaling fumes. Those fumes go right into your blood, into your liver. Your liver is like a purse, and it's like protecting you all day, taking toxins. It's like a mom cleaning up after a kid all day long, leaving trash. Let's just put this trash in my purse. Let's put this trash in my purse. This kid keeps eating this trash. Let's put this trash in the purse. So every time you're at the gas station, all that gas, those fumes go right into that liver purse. And what else goes into that? Obviously, pesticides. Obviously, we just talked about glyphosate, herbicides. Paint. Paint is very toxic. I always encourage people to use low VOC paints when they're painting. But the outgassing of paint, formaldehyde and new carpeting, if you put new carpeting in your house, that stuff is very, very, very toxic. All kinds of new housing materials, and then also all the household products that are not biodegradable. Those are all toxins, and those feed. Those toxins are what these pathogens live on. So we have two words. We have pathogens and we have toxins. And pathogens eat toxins, and they live on toxins, and then they poop out more toxins. So pathogens eat and poop out toxins. So we talked about all the different pathogens. We talked about viruses being a pathogen, mold, different kinds of bacteria like streptococcus is a pathogen, bacteria. And there are other things that feed pathogens. What else feeds pathogens? Metals. Metals feed pathogens. How do we get heavy metals? Where do we get heavy metals from? You can feel free to type things in the chat if you want to make some guesses. Where do we get metals? We get heavy metals from cookware, such as cast iron, such as Teflon, such as pretty much most things are not regulated. Most cookware is not regulated by the FDA. And then things that are metal pots that are made in metal steel pots that are made in China can be irradiated because they just recycle metal and they don't. And so you can end up with an irradiated pot that you're cooking with now. So there's only like a couple of cooking lines that I know of that are non-toxic. One of them is Green Life. That's a cheaper one. That's non-stick. Doesn't have any PFOEs. I think that's what they're called, or PFOAs. OAs. And then there's Salad Master, which is expensive, and that's something that you have to go through a distributor to get. So toxins, heavy metals, and then so where do we get these? Who's cooking with these things? If you're not cooking with these at home, chances are they're cooking with these out in the world at restaurants that you go and you frequent. So those toxins are then feeding, these metals are feeding the pathogens. So you've got toxins and metals feeding your pathogens. Pathogens being the viruses and parasites and so forth. What else feeds pathogens? What do pathogens love to eat? Certain foods. Certain foods. Specifically foods that are high in,
Sugar.
what's that?
Sugar.
And sugar, yes, refined sugar. Thank you. Yes, but not fruit sugar. But the adrenaline that's used to break down fats is itself a toxin. It's corrosive. So eggs have a lot of fat in them. Dairy has fat in them. Meat has fat in it. All these things are like people go, oh, I need to have my protein, but they don't realize you can't separate the protein from the fat. So this fat, it has to be broken down by adrenaline. Adrenaline's the only thing like strong enough to break down the fat into sugar, by the way, healthy sugar, which is the only fuel for the cells. Okay. Now, fat causes an adrenaline burst. That's why people feel energy. Oh my God, I feel so much better after I ate all that meat, all those eggs or whatever it is, because you're getting a burst of adrenaline and then they're like tired later. Or maybe they start getting inflamed or they start having like a lifestyle where they start feeling like I have to eat meat all the time, otherwise I don't feel good because that's the only time they get a burst of adrenaline. So you're exhausting the adrenal glands now. And then guess what else the liver loves? The liver loves to put adrenaline in the purse because it knows it's corrosive. It wants to clean your blood. And then you have adrenaline in your liver, and then that causes scar tissue on the liver. So toxins, metals, adrenaline. And then a subcategory for adrenaline would be the foods that cause adrenaline. So stress causes adrenaline. So that's just like emotional stress causes adrenaline. Working out causes adrenaline. You still want to work out, but running, stress, like a hardcore workout. And then the foods, right? Fatty foods. So the number one biggest feeder of the Epstein-Barr virus, for instance, and all viral loads is eggs. Eggs and dairy in terms of food. So the things that feed pathogens are toxins, metals, adrenaline, and certain foods, such as eggs and dairy, and overt fats. So a lot of times, have you heard like seed oils? Don't eat seed oils, right? What's the problem with seed oils? Canola oil and sunflower oil, these seed oils. Oh my gosh, it's really about how they're processed. These seed oils, if they were processed differently, I mean, canola oil is just some like nasty chemical, basically, but it's really not even just the seed oils. It's like really having too much fat in general. Seed oils are terrible. Canola oil is like very difficult for the stomach to digest. But if you have a high fat diet, you're going to be feeding pathogens. That's why it's so imperative to start lowering fats. Now, some people, when they detox, they may lose weight temporarily before they gain the weight back. So sometimes people will lose weight, and then some people who don't want to lose weight might lose a little bit of weight temporarily while their body's detoxing, and then they'll gain it back. That happened to Carrie Drinkwine. You all know Carrie Drinkwine, right? She's my teacher of regenerative health. She has regenerative health school. That happened to her. And so she's like the perfect example. But her eyes were green. And then, there's two different colors of eyes. There's green, there's blue, and there's brown. And anything in between, if they're green, that means that's like you'll see yellow mucus on the cover of their eyes. People go, oh, your eyes are so pretty. You have like this yellow, all this yellow in your eyes. Well, that's basically lymphatic mucus that hasn't left the body yet. And so it creates a beautiful, colorful starburst in people's eyes. So people with pretty eyes, they don't want me to look at their eyes. I see something different. I still think they're pretty. I'm like, oh, I'm an artist. Like it's definitely colorful, but I see something more. So if you're eating, when people are cleansing and they're wondering how much fat can I eat? And I say, well, the best fat if you're going to eat fat is coconut oil. Anyone know why? Coconut oil is the best fat you can have.
Kills pathogens, kills viruses, bacteria.
That's right. So coconut, every part of the coconut is good for you. Every part of the coconut kills, is antifungal, antibacterial. It kills all those things. So a little bit of coconut oil is good, but it's still going to, it's okay. It's not terrible, but it's if you have a high amount of fat, your body still has to break down the fat. So even though it does these good functions, your body still has to break it down, which means it's going to have to use that sledgehammer called adrenaline. Adrenaline's a sledgehammer, right? You got these big chains of fat, and they're chains, right? Fatty chains, fatty chains. And if you want to break that chain into sugar, you got to take a big sledgehammer called adrenaline and break it down so it can go into sugar. But then you got to deal with that adrenaline. So the liver is going to take that adrenaline, store it in the liver, which is, it's like this big, heavy thing that's going to cause some scarring. All right, toxins, metals, adrenaline, and then foods such as egg, dairy, and overt fats. So coconut oil is the best. Second best is avocado oil. And then you don't ever want to cook olive oil, because most people cook higher than olive oil. Olive oil goes bad if it heats up too much. But I say water saute instead. Water saute or steam. Or if you have a salad master, those will cook your food at a low temperature, so it doesn't even go above 118. It actually cooks things through vacuuming rather than cooking. It's not through heat. It's through a vacuum that it actually cooks your food, and then it keeps all of your nutrients in it. That's a whole other thing. So how do you remove toxins from the body? So now we've figured it out. The problem is toxins. So yeah, you want to avoid toxins, but what about all those toxins that are still in your liver? They stay there. They stay there. You see smokers and like their liver's black. All that ash is still in there. Their lungs, all that ash is still in there. Right? So you have to detox and renew all your cells. So I'm a regenerative health practitioner. I didn't start the call with that, but I'm Rachel. I'm a regenerative health practitioner. And so I do focus on regenerating cells by detoxing. You want to detox and nourish your cells. I just noticed some other people on the call. Hi, Chanel. Hi, Daniel. And hey, Terry. That's great to see you guys. So we're going to detox. And so a lot of people who are here have done or are on the 90-day ultimate lifestyle transformation, which is a 90-day protocol that detoxes the liver. It's a lifestyle so that your body continuously detoxes, because every day we're at the gas station. Every day we're like out in the world smelling, breathing in glyphosate or toxins or exhaust or whatever we're breathing in. I mean, you can't avoid it. So you want to have like some sort of daily detox. All right. So this protocol is great because it has a 3-month saturation where you're like really saturating your body with nutrients and you're detoxing it all. And then you get to this point where you want to like maintain a healthy detoxed body. And so you want to be doing detoxing every day. And that's why a lot of people do the core core nutrition for maintenance, which is like half the size of the pack. So you're getting your spirulina, your barley green juice powder. These things kill viruses. Spirulina is great at reducing, it loves to like grab onto heavy metals and take them out of the body. Barley green juice powder is amazing for killing viral loads. There's a bunch of other things in these, in the shakes that are great herbs that help balance hormones. And then the apothecary juice. Apothecary juice is amazing for balancing the stress hormone cortisol. So the apothecary juice at night is wonderful, also helping with detoxing. It helps create the Krebs cycle and helps create when you're using the restroom, it's the peristalsis. What is it? Peristalsis. This is the colon doing the peristalsis, pushing the poop out, okay? I like to be graphic. So you've got this peristalsis happening, and then it helps with the Krebs cycle. So the Krebs cycle is your body retaining water during the night. So apothecary juice helps your brain shrink to like a sponge, wringing out the toxins in your brain. So at night, your body locks. That's why you can sleep and not pee in the bed. Because if you're sleeping well all night, your body's locking in all that fluid on purpose. So that fluid can swish around your brain and swish around all the cells and like get all those toxins that are in the cells and out of the blood. And then when you wake up in the morning, you urinate and defecate, and that's all the toxins finally leaving. So there's a reason it's locked in all night. So it can just, it's like a bath inside your body. It's like bathing inside of your body. And so the apothecary juice during your REM sleep is when you have the deepest healing. And so the apothecary juice actually doubles your dream time, your REM sleep. So most people get 3 hours of sleep. With the apothecary juice, you're getting 6 hours of dream sleep. I'm not talking about regular sleep. I'm talking about where you're actually dreaming, REM, rapid eye movement. Your eyes are going back and forth. During that time is when the brain is wringing out all the toxins. So it's an amazing detoxer. It's the highest antioxidant fruit in the world so far known. I mean, we haven't discovered probably every fruit that exists, but it's one of the highest. And that means it binds with free radicals. It's great for women, especially because it has been shown, studies shown that women who have high levels of melatonin, because this has naturally occurring melatonin, women with high levels of melatonin don't get breast cancer. So the apothecary juice is incredible and very important high antioxidant fruit. And it's concentrated. So it's like, I don't know, 100 cherries and 2 tablespoons. I actually don't know, but it's a lot of cherries and 2 tablespoons, tart cherries. And it's natural. There's nothing else in it except cherries, concentrated tart cherry juice, and has naturally occurring melatonin. Well, when the lights are out, your body starts, your pituitary starts producing melatonin. So then it helps you with deep sleep. And then in the morning, if you're somebody who gets constipated, it'll actually help you eliminate. I see some nods. It's great for that. So is lemon juice. Now, I am putting a halt to, unless it's an absolute emergency, we got to get somebody unplugged. We're not going to really recommend salt flushes anymore unless a person is really stuck. Because salt, all that salt crystallizes in the brain, and that's going to be a whole, I'm going to do that topic next week. We're going to talk about the brain more. But it's really important to reduce salt. And that's hard for a lot of people, especially if you're like, I want to put soy sauce on everything. I want to put tamari on everything. I want to put salt. It is good to have good salt, but you still want to keep it minimum. But good salt would be things like Celtic sea salt, any kind of sea salt, just nothing refined. Because if it's refined, then it's stripped of all of its nutrients and then it has no benefit. And then it's like costs your body energy. So, but there are some naturally salty foods that are good for you, like celery. Celery is wonderful. If you want more salt in your food, add more celery. All right. The super aminos, we don't talk about those too often, but the super aminos have L-lysine in them, and L-lysine kills viruses. It kills herpetic viruses. And the Epstein-Barr virus, which is one of the root cause viruses, is a herpetic virus, and there's over 60 varieties of Epstein-Barr virus. So we want to kill that virus, and the zinc aid is important because zinc kills the Epstein-Barr virus. And zinc is part of the immune pack, the ULT plus immune, the zinc aid. It has zinc and vitamin C, and they're all food grade. And this is very important that you have food grade vitamin C, food grade zinc, everything that's like made from food. And so these are amazing for killing viruses. I'm going to tie in vertigo for a moment because vertigo, the root cause of vertigo is Epstein-Barr virus. And so it's another reason why it's important. All these things can help with vertigo as well. A lot of, it's usually said that a lot of people think that it's caused by crystals in the ears, this vertigo. But actually the root cause is Epstein-Barr virus. And so what happens is when you have things like vertigo or you have things like pain, you've got these viral toxins that are nibbling at the nerves. And we want to get rid of those. We want to detox those. And so again, the Epstein-Barr virus feeds on what? It's a pathogen. So what does it feed on? toxins, metals, adrenaline, eggs, dairy, overt fats. Yeah, fine sugar. So, and refined salt also. Those are like things that use a chemical process. So there's toxins in there. And then we didn't talk too much about household detergents, but anything that's not biodegradable is pretty much a toxin in household and detergents. So I recommend, look at labels, get good at reading ingredients. Do a house audit, look at all of your laundry products, make sure none of them have any, just make sure you're not don't use bleach. Bleach is a really intense toxin. Try not to use bleach. Instead, use hydrogen peroxide, use mild soaps. Make sure that nothing has the word fragrance in it if you can. If it says, it contains lavender essential oils, that's not a big deal. That's usually fine, although some of those are made with chemicals as well. But if you use the word fragrance, that is a trade secrets act to protect corporations from divulging their ingredients. It's like, oh, this is a trade secret. We don't have to tell you what's in this product. Therefore, it doesn't have to be disclosed. And so then that Trade Secrets Act means that over 500 banned chemicals in the US can be in that product. So some people are like, oh, I get Tide, but then, or I get all, and it says free and clear. Free and clear means doesn't smell like anything, but then you read the ingredients and it says fragrance in there. You're like, why does it say fragrance on the label? Oh, because it's hiding the banned toxins. It's a euphemism for banned toxins. Now, Glenneth and I go way back. He remembers me way back in the day, around 2003, I think I was having this conversation with him and telling him all about, he like came over to my house and I was like, oh my God, you're like smell so toxic. I can't be around you. I was all worried about that stuff. And I'm not so I guess mean about it. I don't think I was being mean, but I'm not so hardcore about it anymore. I just know that people don't know. And then I do try to educate, but this is my platform. This is my platform for helping people learn, is people who are actually trying to detox and wanting to learn. That's when they get to learn about this stuff. There are companies that are like greenwashed. I think Method and Myers are two companies that basically pretend to be green, but then you smell it and you're like, oh, why does it smell so toxic? And then you look at the ingredients and sure enough, there's the word fragrance. And then now this green company is now ruined. It's no longer going to be looked at as green anymore. So I wanted to bring Tara on for a moment because she and I have been working together with her Hashimoto's, and then suddenly she started having vertigo, and I was like, "What? You're having vertigo? Wait, what's going on?" And so we did some troubleshooting. So do you want to share, Tara, a little bit about what your journey has been like, wherever you want to start?
Sure do. First of all, I have to say thank you so much for just sitting on the phone with me and asking me about a million questions to get to the bottom of what it was. So where do you want me to start? Like my story or this story?
Maybe we'll do this story because well, let's talk. What were your symptoms before you started this 90-day, ultimate lifestyle transformation journey? And then what are your symptoms? And then what were your symptoms after that before you started having the vertigo?
Okay, so before the 30-day protocol, I wasn't sleeping. I was not having regular bowel movements. I was fatigued and tired, had sore joints, so many things, like
Wow.
brain fog,
Mm.
everything you can think of.
And you're having trouble sleeping.
Oh yeah, I could not sleep.
Yeah, you were at your wit's end.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then, so I had been on the protocol for about 2 months and I felt so much better. We talked about it. I'm like, I feel so much better. I had actually started to introduce some foods back in, and because I had a very strict diet, and I had been going to a sauna, like a location play, like going to the Y to get in the sauna, and it worked for me. So I thought I'll get a blanket and ultra or infrared sauna blanket, And I started using that every other day, sometimes every day. And at the very beginning, it made me feel a lot better because I have a hip replacement on one side and the other hip is almost there. Although it was feeling so much better until I started to use the blanket. And then when I used the blanket, it started to hurt. And then I started to get a really bad headache. And then it went from the headache to vertigo. Like I could not raise up. I could not raise up. It was hard to stand up. I had to lay down. And then you just checked in on me. It was almost like you had some alert go off or something. And you said, "How are you feeling?" And I'm like, "Horrible. I have vertigo." And you're like, "What? What is going on?" So you asked me all kinds of questions, and then we were able to get to the bottom of it and found out it was that I had the off gassing from the blanket, all the toxins, and you worked me through some what is it called? What do you call that? The ginger, turmeric, and garlic.
Oh, well, because you also had some congestion.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, well, the vertigo could be maybe caused or being triggered somewhat by the congestion, which is like, trapped toxins. I mean, you get congested when there's toxins trapped in the nasal passage, right? And I was like, we just need to do a real viral flush. And so I had you do a half a cup of turmeric and turmeric juice and a half a cup of ginger juice with 2 to 4 cloves of garlic. And that's what I use for anyone who has sinus infections or any kind of like really heavy congestion. That usually gets rid of it in 24 hours and like they're clean.
Well,
So
it did. It
it
did.
works.
With you told me to order a couple of things, and I did that. I got the air purifier, but ultimately the shakes and the vitamins I take every day keep me regulated. They keep me regular. They help me sleep. They are a lifesaver. I'm so grateful.
Amazing. What has your energy been like? Like if you describe what your energy was like before you started this journey and then when you got to like kind of the end of your 2 months or wherever you're at now.
So before, no energy. I would work. I work full time, so I would work. And I'm a high school administrator, so I would be dead tired by the time I left school every day. Just come home and get things ready for the next day, and then get in the bed. And before the vertigo, pretty much like I'm up doing things, cleaning. Almost not like before, like when I was younger, but so much better, so much more energy. And then I'm tired when it's time to go to bed and I sleep. So my schedule is so much better now.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. So I really wanted to highlight that, like, for those people who are coaches on the team, I want to highlight that, like, it's important to do a house audit. If somebody starts to have a breakdown or if they are not getting well from the Purium products, first thing I ask is, are they constipated? Because I'm like, they may not be detoxing. And then the second thing I'm going to say is like, what's in your house? Like, we went through everything. I said, do you have mold? Turned out she had mold. Turned out they had mold. And then they did some reconstruction on the house, had everything, remediated with masks and suits and everything. And then I found out that they had used bleach to clean. And so I was like, okay, I know that can cause mold to actually jump further. They'll multiply because they're like, oh, we're being attacked. We need to multiply. So I was like, well, maybe there might be mold still in your house. Let's look at that. But she had gotten better. So I was like, well, maybe it's not the mold. I don't know. And then I asked and found out that her husband had just painted the ceiling, right? In the living room. And I was like, okay, well, were those Lowe's VOC paints? What kind of paints were those? And some people are not going to get sick from paints. And some people are not going to get sick from mold. But some people do. And who are the people who get sick from mold, you guys? Like, who are the people who get sick from mold or paints or toxins in the environment that are very sensitive? Any idea?
I would say maybe those that are already compromised.
Yes, people who have the Epstein-Barr virus, people who have streptococcus, people who already have pathogens. Because those pathogens are now eating those toxins and proliferating. And so then you suddenly get an onset of vertigo, which I knew. I was like, okay, well, this sounds like the Epstein-Barr virus is going cuckoo, because I know that vertigo is also caused by Epstein-Barr virus. And I know that Hashimoto's, which she has, is caused by Epstein-Barr virus. So I was like, okay, this is just an expansion of what she already has. So we need to look at that. Why is Epstein-Barr virus suddenly going cuckoo for coconuts? And why is she so congested? Like, what is going on? The other thing too was that it turned out her son came home or put some cologne on to go out. Her son, doesn't always live with them, but is now, he went out and put on some cologne, and I was like, oh, there's the toxin. Like, you're gonna have like all these things. I'm like, the paint, the cologne, like these things are gonna definitely probably impact her and like create a proliferation of toxins. Now, her husband might be fine because he doesn't have Epstein-Barr virus, so he can handle doing these things and he's not getting sick. Isn't that interesting? Why do some people get sick from mold and some people don't? And that is one of the reasons. Why did some people get sick from the vaccine and some people didn't? My guess is that the people who got sick from the vaccine had some kind of virus that was then now reacting to the metals in the vaccine, and whatever else is in there. Because pharmaceuticals are just polluted. They're there to kind of like usually suppress the symptoms. They don't necessarily go to the root cause. And so pharmaceuticals tend to have metals. And we know that through some of the reverse engineering they did on the vaccine, that it has graphene oxide, which is more toxic than mercury. So, that's why some people may not get sick and some people do. And the beautiful thing is that we do have an incredible smart body that has the ability to rehabilitate if you give it the right building blocks. Oh my God. You guys, has anybody gotten the new Aqua Vibrance? That's our new product, Purium's new product that you put in the water. It's so good. It's so hydrating. It's on pre-order right now. I highly recommend it. I'm using it because I got some before it went out to you guys. And it is just so hydrating. It's amazing. And Anne knows all about Aqua Vibrance. She knew all about it before Purium even released it. She's a total old school vet. And but it makes your water more hydrated. And so it's actually, it reduces the surface tension so that your water becomes wetter water, for lack of a better word. If you want wetter water, it's amazing. It'll clean the toxins and plastics and everything out. Chlorine, fluoride, it flocculates, which is the word I learned from Anne. I'm like, that's my new favorite word, flocculation. And no, it's not perverted. It just binds with the toxin and neutralizes it. Is that right, Anne? Does it bind the toxin and neutralize it?
You're making me giggle.
I'm gonna be a flocculant for Halloween.
That's my favorite word too when I found out about it.
Every time we said it, it makes me giggle.
The quickest way to say it is like the trace elements that are in the liquid drops from the Aqua Vibrance essentially are so nanoparticle size. They go into the water and they immediately sort of oxidize within the liquid, and they sacrifice themselves and bond, or like magnets stick to the contaminants, and they make the contaminants bigger so that you can see them. So the flocks were there before, but they were so small you couldn't see them. So it's becoming a flock, like a bird, you can see it when it's bigger. So it comes together with all those total, and then they fall out because now they're getting kicked out of the molecule that it was hiding in, like a Klingon. They literally get booted out, and then the molecule just kind of bounces up, and it becomes, like you said, very hydrating.
And so, but are those flocks now toxic, or are they neutralized?
They're neutral. They're actually inert. They're compostable, and this is the big one, they may also render contaminants beneficial.
That's
so
amazing. That's like mushrooms in the oil slicks. Like they use mushrooms to remediate oil slicks when there's oil spills, and the mushrooms are actually edible and good for you.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Like Exxon oil.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Fascinating. So I think my understanding is it's like oxidizes the water. So oxidizes the flocks of toxins. It's just like it adds a molecule onto them so that they're now not a toxin anymore.
Yeah, so like let's see the inside of the trace minerals. There's like a copper or manganese or something, and that has a trace molecular structure, and it literally bonds to the toxins, pulling it out, making it bigger, and now it's too big to hide, and it just precipitates to the bottom. To the bottom. That's why it takes 12 to 24 hours for it to rain down to the bottom, because it's basically that hidden Klingon that's now too big to hide, just slowly percolating to the bottom of the jar.
Isn't that amazing?
But you can drink it right away because it renders it inert, compostable, etc. And so, like if you had beautiful clear water and you added aqua vibrance to it, and all of a sudden it looked cloudy, that'd actually be a good thing because you would know that it's essentially the
It's working.
Klingons have they're kicked out of the cell. Yeah, and but the plastics have been rendered inert. The
So
estrogens have been.
maybe it's that that these objects that would be toxic are so big that they actually can't go into the cells, and maybe that's why the flocculation works, is because they're now bigger and they can't go into the cells. Is that it maybe?
It's actually they're inert, so they're no longer. They won't even. They don't have a frequency that can hurt us anymore. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So yeah, definitely make sure you guys get your aqua vibrance. It's on vibrance, it's on pre-order, and I'm using it. We just drink tap water and add it to our tap water. So I don't recommend that. I still think it's good to filter water, but sometimes I do that.
You can definitely do that.
Yeah. For people who live in areas where maybe they don't have access to clean water and they can't filter their water, they can't afford to, this is like an amazing solution. So the ULT, let's talk about the Ultimate Lifestyle Transformation. I'm just going to briefly remind everyone what's in it. And we've got the different shakes. For people who are really struggling with health issues, I always just default to the super meal. You can get the customizable, the ULT customizable. On our new website, if you go to the ultlifestyle.com page and you go all the way down to the bottom, that's where the customizable pack lives, where you can actually change out the shakes. And the super cleanser herbs are amazing for killing parasites. They clean out the digestive tract. They clean out the intestines. And the intestines is where plaque and toxins can get stored and stuck, especially if somebody's constipated. Like all those toxins have been getting stuck there. And then parasites love to live in there. It's like, ooh, here's a nice little home. It's nice and dark, and it's kind of compact. All this compacted oil, all this old oil, rancid oils get stuck there. So we just want to clean all that out so that your body absorbs more nutrients. We've got the Biomedic, which is part of the pack, and the Biomedic is what actually removes 75% of glyphosate. 75% of glyphosate, that toxin in Roundup, it removes 75% of it in 6 weeks, 74.5. And so that's amazing because you really can't cook it out or get that stuff out of your liver unless you really try. And this is the way you do it. And then we've got the apothecary juice, which also detoxes and helps you with deep sleep, which helps you with detoxing the brain, helps you with detoxing on a cellular level, helps you with elimination. And that's when all of in that deep sleep is when you remove everything. And then the shakes, again, these have the spirulina that removes metals. It has the barley green juice powder that helps with killing viral loads. It has all the different herbs in there that are helpful. It has 5 different kinds of mushrooms, which are amazing. Different mushrooms help with destroying tumors and cysts. Some of those mushrooms are helpful for balancing adrenaline and like your stress hormones, your cortisol levels. They help support your adrenals, which are what pump out the adrenaline. Those glands that help pump out the adrenaline, those things get so taxed. And so Super Meal has the herbs in there that help balance those and restore your adrenals. So I think and then the super aminos, which we talked about. I specifically talked about the L-lysine in the super aminos, but all of the super aminos are essential. It doesn't have L-arginine because L-arginine can actually be harmful. It can actually feed cold sores and things like that. And so the herpetic viruses love L-arginine. So we don't have L-arginine in our super aminos. And it's a patented formula. You're not going to find it on the market. It's literally the same ratio of aminos that your body uses to make muscle. So it's a wonderful, wonderful product. So I think I covered the 90-day ULT. So if anyone's watching this video, just talk to the person who invited you so you can learn a little bit more. I highly also recommend the book Cleanse to Heal by Anthony William, Medical Medium. There's a lot of great recipes in here. A lot of information here on how to, on why everything I just talked about is pretty much in this book to some capacity. And it's a great addition. So love you guys. And thank you so much for joining. And I'm going to stop the recording and then I'll open it up to questions.